Hello, and welcome to the Rankin Report for Sunday, November 21st, 2021. Before we start, let me wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe out there. From the book of Exodus, chapter 18, verses 19 through 22, and this is from the New American Standard Bible. Now listen to me, and this is Jethro, the priest of Midian, the father-in-law of Moses, speaking. Now listen to me. I will give you counsel, and God be with you. You be the people's representative before God, and you bring the disputes to God. Then teach them the statutes and laws, and make known to them the way in which they are to walk and the work they are to do. Furthermore, you shall select out of all the people able men who fear God, men of truth, those who hate dishonest gain, and you shall place these over them as leaders of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. Let them judge the people at all times, and let it be that every major dispute they will bring to you, but every minor dispute they themselves will judge. So it will be easier for you, and they will bear the burden with you. This is continuing the Why We Fight series. This is the 7th part of our series. And why we fight in this installment is to reestablish the proper order of things. Now, in that passage of Scripture, Moses takes the advice of his father-in-law and establishes a very basic but effective system of government for the infant nation of Israel. A pattern of sorts was set. God was the ultimate head of the nation, followed by the people who God was to have a direct relationship with. Someone in Moses' position was last in this line. So you had God, the people, Moses, or whoever would serve in Moses' place. And this person was to serve both God and the people of God. Even Jethro acknowledged this as a burden for Moses and advised him to set subordinates in place to handle simple questions or disputes. Now, with some variations, some modifications, this pattern continued even throughout the monarchy, until the monarchy became corrupt and turned away from God, with the people soon to follow. In turning away from God, kings and princes saw themselves as the ultimate power of the nation, and the people were to serve them rather than serving God and the people. Is any of this sounding familiar at all? It should, because the same thing is happening here in America. When the revolution was won, the people had freed themselves from British royalty that saw themselves as the absolute rulers of the colonies, not to mention the rest of the empire. King George III came from the House of Hanover, of Germanic origin, not originally British in nature, that was more accustomed to kings having absolute authority over their subjects. It didn't help that the king or queen was also the earthly head of the Anglican Church, in much the same way as the Pope with the Roman Catholic Church. It would be easy for a ruler under this system to think of him or herself imbued with absolute authority over the people. America, meanwhile, had a people that had a century and a half of experience in self-government, with the restraining influence of faith to keep them from degenerating into selfishness and corruption. When the American government via the Constitution that we have now was set up, it was designed to play a very limited role as the people lived in their God-given rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. People could already pretty much govern themselves. So government was not really needed in the people's lives terribly much. So having the experience of Scripture to guide the founding fathers, those fathers set the pattern of importance: God, the people, government. The people were the earthly source of political power. Being elected to Congress or the presidency was seen as service to the people, who mostly saw their lives in service to God, according to the Scriptures. Today we see the results of 2 to 3 generations of a nation that, for official purposes, recognizes God, but does everything it can to act against His Word as revealed in the Scriptures. We have debates over whether or not a denomination can deny sacraments such as communion to elected officials who vote for things and policies that God plainly calls abominations to Him, as if somehow this was a gray area. We have officials that are openly Marxist in their outlook and advocate a global system based on communist principles. Churches are persecuted in the name of public health and the greater good. Professors at our universities openly teach the overthrow of the Constitution and call for cradle-to-grave government control over every area of our lives, robbing us of the liberty God gave us. In their eyes, this chain of command, as it were, is government, the people. Never mind the fact that such a system only works by harsh measures imposed on the people, forbidding dissent and the right to speak your mind, that it ultimately leads to starvation. Read unredacted, honest histories of Joseph Stalin or Mao Zedong, while you still can, poverty, and finally, death on large scales, either from the government's policies or from the people saying finally enough and taking up arms and revolting. The original order of importance, God, people, the government, that we operated under must be restored if there is to be any hope of saving the nation. Doing that begins with each of us recognizing that order in our own individual lives, even if everything around us tries to persuade us of the opposite. This is another reason why we fight. That's the Rankin Report for Sunday, November the 21st, 2021. God bless you. Don't forget to press the like button or the subscribe button. God bless you. Have a great day.